Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled, The Language of Friendship, the Language of Love. Now, I'm sure if you've ever listened to one of my devotions in the past, you would have heard me badly misquote good old Moses many, many times. And that phrase, or that play on that phrase, choose life, blessings and curses. The phrase, or this version of the phrase, my play on the phrase, says to me that in life you don't get the good without the bad, and you don't get the bad without the good. You get life though, and we're here to live life. So the real blessing of life is being here alive at all. Maybe that's the ultimate miracle. Maybe. And I'm enjoying the blessings of springtime. I am loving the colour of the blossoms and the song of the birds. It is a delight, especially for my eyes and my ears. That said, it's not all blessings. There is a negative to all this new life, and it's a negative that particularly affects my eyes and my ears. Well, actually, my eyes and my ears and my nose and my throat. You can probably hear it a little in my throat. It's been affected by the pollen that's coming, the tree pollen from the new buds and blossoms that are here. Seem to be hit quite hard this year, actually. I'm told I'm not alone. And it's my ears actually that are frustrating me the most, because it affects my ability to hear people when they speak to me. I have to really concentrate because it affects my hearing. Hard to believe, isn't it? But it does. Having said that, I can still hear the birds and their beautiful spring songs. And the birds are telling me many, many things. Another favourite phrase of mine is, a little bird told me, tweeted in my ear. I loved the phrase as a child. There was something enchanting about it. And you know what? I love it just as much as an adult. It's a cute way of relaying information about people, sharing good news like birthdays or small achievements. Little birds telling me things is basically half of my life. I spend half of my life listening to folk tell me stories, sharing and caring with people. Lots of little birds have been whispering in my ear recently. It seems that my purpose in life is primarily to be a friend, to live as a friend to many. I suspect that my primary role as a minister of religion is to be a good friend. In fact, I think that's kind of what it means to live spiritually alive. Actually, maybe this is the whole of the spiritual, never mind half, but the whole of the spiritual life. Maybe this is the love we're supposed to live by. Maybe we are here to be friends to one another, sharing and caring and telling our tales in our little ears. You know, I love funny little phrases, and I love language and how language changes, how language develops. It speaks so much about time and place, past, present, even future. You can tell an awful lot about a culture by its language. The English language has many different words for different types of rain. That's because it rains so much here. Iceland has about 40 different words for snow. The ancient Greeks had at least 6 words for love. I'll give you the 6 that I know of, but there are probably more. There was, of course, eros, which was primarily romantic or sexual or passionate desire, that form of, or Philia, which was a deep bond that was formed through friendship and or comradeship. Think about the city of Philadelphia, which literally meant the city, or means the city of brotherly love. That's what it means. Brotherly love is Philia, Delphia city. Didn't know that, did you? Really interesting. Another form of those Greek loves was storge, which was a kind of familial love between family. Ludus, a kind of playful or flirtatious love, like teasing, if you like. Pragma, or long-standing love, a form of mature love that develops over long-term relationships, like between married couples. And agape love, that's a love without prejudice, a selfless, a self-giving love, a self-sacrificial love, what some might call the religious love that religion speaks of, this sacrificing something of yourself for something more than yourself. And finally, philautia, or self-love. Now, self-love had both a light and shadow side. Its shadow is manifested in narcissism, something you hear an awful lot about these days, this utter self-absorption, like Narcissus. But actually, there was a positive side to it, and it was seen as being vital in order to truly offer all the other forms of love in a healthy way. Healthy self-regard, I guess. Not selfish at all. Now, two of these forms of love that I've just named, to me, seem vital to living in spiritual community with others. These two, more than any other forms, feed that kind of communal love and how we live out that love in our life in this world. And the two are philia and agape. And as I've been wandering around, walking and talking with folk in recent times, these are the two forms of love I've been experiencing, vital to my heart and soul, vital to all our hearts and souls, I believe. I think these two loves are at the heart of what it is to be a true friend, actually. We need these loves so much at our time, this time in life. As we live through difficult and disturbing times at times when we look at the wider world, we look at our world, these are the two loves that need to be brought to life through our human being. Agape and philia love are the two types that I'm very aware of in myself, actually, at this time. I've been feeling it strongly in myself as my senses have been opened up and I interact with people in deep ways, actually. And it's these two types that truly bring the blessings and the curses of choosing life. They are vital to living spiritually alive, actually. Now, I've just been away at our recent denominational general assembly meetings, and I engaged in all kinds of conversations with all kinds of folk while I was there. It was lovely catching up with old friends and meeting new ones. And people, when I get into conversation with them, tell me many things. Yes, they share their many and varied troubles, but they share other wonderful stories too. I am blessed by what people choose to share with me, actually. One thing I particularly enjoyed this year was a conversation that I was formally invited to participate in with others who write regularly for our denominational magazine, The Inquirer. We were asked to talk about how we write, what inspires our writings, talk about our whole process of what inspires and how we put together what we write. We were also asked about what we ought to explore, perhaps, as we reflect on our current world as we write too. And by doing so, we were trying to encourage other people to have a go at writing themselves, perhaps those that don't have the confidence. It was fascinating listening to the other contributors and comparing their processes to my own process that I go through when writing. My word, we are so different. The others seem far more deliberate, far more structured, very much inspired by particular things. Whereas my inspiration seems to blow in the wind, actually. A bit like this, if I'm honest. But there is some structure, there is a purpose, even if I'm not always aware of it immediately. Maybe it's just better hidden than some others. Maybe I just don't think about the process as much. It kind of happens, or I'm part of it. I engage in the creative interchange, I guess. You see, everything that I create, I kind of see as a conversation between friends or for friends, some of whom I am yet to meet, it would appear, i.e. those that engage with what is written. Although maybe they may already be known, we may already know one another. It's about being part of this language of love that's always speaking. We just don't always have ears to hear, regardless of the pollen count. Now, during this Inquirer panel, there was an interesting conversation about the use of artificial intelligence, AI. Something none of us felt we would want to use in our own work. Now, I'm not against the use of AI, perhaps in terms of helping one discover information quickly, if you like, as a pointer to more depth. I don't think it has the depth, but it can point you to more depth. And I'm also not against the use of AI in terms of helping people who perhaps have limited writing skills, helping them develop writing, giving them a kind of something to base their things upon to begin with. And the reason I say this is because I know that many friends of mine have been helped massively by it. It's helped them build confidence in writing more formally, I guess. So like most things in life, AI has its place. I just don't think it's got a place when it comes to creativity, when it comes to heart and soul. I want to speak through the spirit. I want to speak the language of the heart and to be understood through the heart. I want to engage in conversations based on love. That's my creative thing, I guess. Maybe that's how I write, I'm not sure. And it seems to me, if I'm honest, that AI is a soulless product. It can't come from that. And I notice this when I read things that is created by it. You can tell, for it does not touch the soul. And it has some bizarre things that are often wrong. Pieces things together. There's always some weird error. So it's not something I want to use. It won't help me be creative, but it might help me gather information, because that's what it does, doesn't it? That's how it operates. But not in the creative process. For language and words used in my line of work ought to be formed by love and by creativity. They must be of the spirit, formed from both agapeic and philia love, actually. They must be informed by these two forms of love. They should be about creativity. They should be about connection. That's the spirit by which we must live, both, I believe. I recently had a powerful experience, actually, around forgiveness. A beautiful example of how agape can work its magic in bringing repair to damaged philia love and restoring a once broken friendship is what happened recently. I recently reacquainted myself with someone I was close to many, many years ago. And I had once said something that had unintentionally hurt them. I was speaking from a place of arrogance and probably some hubris, actually. I was getting too big for my boots, as they would say where I'm from. I love a lovely turn of phrase, don't you think? Now, the words I used that day were not personal towards the person who was hurt, but they did hurt them, and it did break a friendship. and one that no matter what I said and did and apologised afterwards could not be healed. Or so I thought. For I just carried on the same way, and recently it's been healed. It just took some humility and some truth speaking in love. It took the practice actually of agape love to heal a friendship and therefore rekindle a form of damaged philia love. It was a lovely experience and led to the most amazing and moving conversation as we shared loving words together. We both of us levelled our pride. We both of us gave something of ourselves. We both of us recognised each other's humanity, and as a result we rekindled a friendship. Agape love healed a relationship. It reformed a damaged, broken philia love. That's the heart at work, isn't it? And the reconciliation kind of brought to my mind actually a conversation I'd heard a few days before on an extract from John's Gospel actually, chapter 21 verses 15 to 19. I'm just going to share this translation from the New Revised Standard Version. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Now Peter felt hurt because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt and go wherever you wished. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you where you do not wish to go." He said this to indicate the kind of death by which he would glorify God. After this, he said to him, "Follow me." Now this conversation between Jesus and Peter, who it is said the rock on which the church was built, it comes later in John's Gospel, after Easter, after the resurrection. And it's a fascinating conversation. And it mirrors Peter's denial of Jesus 3 times in the Easter narrative. Now what's interesting to me when you actually step beyond the English translation, what's interesting is the use of the word love here. Now the first 2 times when Jesus asks Peter if he loves him, he's using the word, or a translation of the word agape love, while Peter responds with the word for philia love. In the English it just says love, but actually it's a different type of love. On the third occasion, Jesus, though, reverts to the word for philia love. He kind of brings himself to Peter's level, it seems. Now, from what I understand in the Gospel, actually, both words are used interchangeably in John's account. And much has been discussed by theologians as to the meaning of this passage. Why are different words for love being used here, these 2 different types? Now, to me, what this conversation is about, which is why I was thinking about it really, is it's about a kind of reconciliation, of forgiveness. It's about moving forward from that place as well. as Jesus is asking Peter to take care or to feed his sheep, his lambs, his people. Asking what is he prepared to do, to sacrifice of himself in order to do that. So it does sound like agape love, doesn't it? To fulfill true Philia love, it requires agape love. And I believe that both forms are required for us to live spiritually alive in this world. If I've learned anything, it's that I need to live by both Philia and agape love in order to be alive in this world with others, to serve in the way that I'm here to serve and to experience their love too, to choose life, if you like, blessings and curses. And by doing so, you begin to build that kingdom where all are kin to life in this world. And that requires both agapeic and Philia love to create that environment where no one is excluded. We all need Philia love. We are relational beings. Everyone needs friends. They need friends to experience that deep loving care that's not connected by blood or by family or by romance, a love for those we share our time and space with. This is the love that spiritual community is built upon. Well, actually, it's more than just spiritual community. I think it's this love that forms all true community. But it needs agape love too, where no one is excluded. Because sometimes such communities can be closed doors. Aristotle said, "What is a friend? A single soul dwelling in two bodies." Emerson wrote, "Let us approach our friend with an audacious trust in the truth of his heart." And of course, a friend is someone that you can trust, that you can rely upon, someone who will be there for you no matter what. And I've been blessed with such friendships throughout my life. Some have been there for decades and others for shorter periods of time. But we have touched one another's lives in deep and in meaningful ways. We have laughed and we have cried together. We have enjoyed some wild and crazy times together. And we have grieved as we have lost one of our number. No different to the disciples. I have lost a lot of friends over the years. Far too many, actually. And each loss breaks my heart. Each loss takes a little piece of my heart. Because love hurts. It was the first anniversary of the loss of one of my oldest and dearest friends this week. The very next day after the anniversary, I heard of the loss of another of our mutual friends from our wider circle. Another gone far too soon. Yes, I've been blessed with great friendships, but my heart's been broken many times. And I've needed both Philia and agape love to heal. Such love, such friendship makes you become a better person. My friends have helped me become a better person. They have spurred me on by their example and their encouragement, and at times their criticism too. For a friend will tell you the truth. It's a central claim actually of Aristotle's ethics, who envisioned an escalating competition in goodness. He suggested that people try to do their best so as to be valued and respected by their friends, thus inspiring them to do likewise. And that is a wonderful example of the power of Philia love itself, to build us into being the better versions of ourselves that we can be in that relationship, really. It lifts us, everyone up. Now, friendship is a key component of Buddhism, illustrated beautifully actually in this following short tale that is said to be from the life of the Buddha. One day while the Buddha was out walking with his attendant Ananda declared, "Teacher, to have companions and comrades on the great way is so amazing. I have come to realize that friendship is fully half of the authentic spiritual life." Now they continued walking in silence when eventually the Buddha responded, "No, dear one, without companions and comrades, No one can live into the deep, finding the true harmonies of life to achieve authentic wisdom. To say it simply, friendship is the whole of the spiritual life. And could this be true? Could friendship be the whole of the spiritual life? Again from John's Gospel, Jesus said to his disciples, I have called you friends because I have made known to you everything. That's what this relationship with God, with friendship's about. This is what we're meant to mirror in our lives. This is what the kingdom coming alive in our lives is about. We gain knowledge of the spiritual life through living in such an intimate relationship with God, with life, with each other. I am with the Buddha and I am with Jesus. I believe that friendship is the whole of the spiritual life. In fact, to live spiritually is to truly be a friend to life. This is how knowledge is truly revealed. This is the kingdom of love coming alive in our lives. This is how we make our lives sacred, how we bless by our being. This is how we manifest love in our lives, by being a friend to life. This is what being part of a spiritual community is about, becoming a friend to life and to all that we meet. Friendship, and it's those little birds whispering in my ear, sharing deep concern and spreading love. This is living spiritually alive. This is what a real friendship's about. But it has to begin with what I've heard called radical acceptance, agape. And it requires, to live this way, it requires agape love, to accept those we meet as they are, exactly as they are. It does not mean we don't point out when someone is wrong. No, it just means we love and accept them right or wrong. And it's also about raising one up, lifting each other up with love. Doing so through our loving example, or their loving example to us. You see, by being the best that we can be, in living in a loving friendship, we automatically encourage our friends to be the best versions of themselves, the best that they can be too. You see, friendships are relationships born from love. They speak the language of love. They are mirrors of the spiritual life, for they are both philia and at times agape love. These two blended together, inspiring our lives, filling that spirit within us, bringing it to life through our being. Living in these loving relationships. For life is about relationships. The spiritual life is about relationships. Relationships with life, relationships with each other, relationships with ourselves, and relationships with God. However we understand God to be. And how do relationships develop? Well, they develop through conversation, really. Through sharing ourselves with each other. Not by losing ourselves, but becoming ourselves through our conversations with the other, both lower and uppercase. I and thou. We relate through conversation, and thus we grow spiritually through relationship. For relationships speak the language of love, friendships being one of the most powerful, deep and meaningful relationships. Such relationships must be formed, and they must be sustained by both philia and agape love. For love will bring us together again. It will, you know. It will, I promise you. And our world needs it. I do. I'm going to end with some final words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more. We can all bless and we bless when we give our whole hearts to life. So may the love which overcomes all differences, which puts to flight all fears, which heals all wounds, which reconciles all who are separated, may that love be in us and among us now and always. May it come alive through our deep friendships in love. And may the love of God be with us, and may it fill us and bring us to life, and may it do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, and all that we do in love. Amen.